even though there are groups out there at various sites, DeviantArt, other sites, like other Sonic sites and stuff, even though there are groups out there that surprisingly support a shipping like Tails and Nicole. I'm not lying. Tails and Nicole. And what's surprising about that is they pretty much feel Tails is better suited, I guess, for Nicole. Now some might say, well, that's impossible. Nicole's an AI, he's flesh and blood. Well, who's to say that eventually they won't have something go down to where Nicole becomes flesh and blood? You ever think about that? And, you know, and again, and the reason they say this is because they pretty much feel that all Ian is doing is pairing his fan characters with official characters in the comic, instead of having official characters with official characters if you're going to do some kind of romance. Now, there are going to be some out there that are going to argue the fact that, you know, they'll argue the fact that there are fans out there that when they write stories in fan fiction, or they do fan artwork, or they do their own personal fan artwork, that they will pair their own fan fiction character or fan character, whether it's a fan character based on themselves or just an original fan character they came up with. I'm sure a lot of people will come out and say, well, wait a minute. You're basically blaming Ian for putting Shard, who you think is like a fan character of his, together with Nicole, who's an official character, yet you guys like to write stories and do fan fiction or do some fan artwork where you pair your own fan characters, either based on yourself or original with official characters. So where's the blame? I do not see the blame. And obviously that's the reaction people are going to get. However, this person that's talking about this, when you look at the group, which is they are basically helping to found, or they helped found it at DeviantArt and several other places, they have come out and said that they are the largest group of a certain ship of this pairing of Nicole and Tails. I'm not lying, folks. That they are the largest group out there. And that they want, basically, the voice to be heard. Now this individual looks at this and thinks, well, the only reason Ian Flynn would hint at a Shard-Nicole relationship is because Shard is just basically a metallic version of Sonic. And that Nicole is basically an AI version of Sally. Kind of get the point? But that is why I believe people always, why this person and those among them, and why I even asked the question, and you can find it right here on my channel, of if this pairing of Tails and Nicole would work, why they want it to happen. Because Tails is basically like Sonic's little brother, right? So what better way for him to kind of be like Sonic in a sense than to have someone that's very similar in many ways to Sally, even though she's an AI. And I can understand why they would probably want this to happen too, because if anybody could help come up with a solution to make Nicole officially flesh and blood, it could be Tails. Kind of get what I'm saying? Kind of get what I'm saying, folks? I know that kind of sounds crazy and everything, but again, when you read the link down below that I will provide, when you click on it and you read it, you're going to be like, are you blankety blank kidding me? We're not. But, and I can also understand maybe why they want this pairing to happen. Because they know that Ian, because Ian obviously has come out and said it according to some people, Ian Flynn supports a Tails and Amy pairing. And basically they feel that they feel that Tails and Nicole is a better pairing. Because if Ian Flynn goes in the direction of what they feel he's going to do and put Tails with Amy, what sense would that make? Well, one, it would work around the fact that Amy can't be with Sonic, but nothing says she can't be with Tails. You know, that would work. But still, you know, this individual, basically, you got to look at the link and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. But basically, they feel that Ian is just at times using the comic to introduce his own characters, which again, he has the right to do. Because he is the writer, he can do that. But introduce his own characters to the franchise because of the fact that he wants to pair his fan characters, as this person puts it, with official characters. And they do dive more into what they feel as to why they feel Ian wants to do what his thing with the characters. So, but yeah. But yeah, apparently they just feel he needs to give the Tails Nicole pairing a chance. Needs to think about it. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, Ian himself has said it. He can't use fan ideas, other fans' ideas. He can't use them. You know, unless he's just saying that to throw people off. But still, he says he can't use them because he doesn't want to be responsible for saying, "Oh, well, this fan suggested this," and then have a fan come out and say, "Well, I gave you the idea. Now I want to share the profits." Anyway, that's the third thing. And the last thing I want to talk about is now, and I should have talked about this when I talked about, and I should have talked about this a little bit when I talked about the whole Genesis situation and 247 and will the crossover live up to its hype? What I should have talked about as well is, hold on for a second. Sorry about that, I had to get my dog in. She likes to look like she wants to come in and she wants to go back out or something like that, I don't know. But anyway, this is something I should have mentioned when I talked about the crossover. And basically the thing is, now that we're heading into that time frame, now that we're in this time frame with the crossover, I gotta ask the question. Has the ride to this crossover been worth it? Has anybody felt the bumps in the road that were not necessary? Or was it a smooth sailing? I know I'm probably going to get some different answers, but I have to ask this question. Was it smooth sailing or was there some bumps? Because a lot of people, when they look at the direction that we've come to and how we've gotten here, they look at every obstacle that this comic has gone through. Behind the scenes with lawsuits and stuff. Certain stories and story arcs being revised and being re-edited because of certain things like lawsuits. When look at all that, you have to ask yourself, has it been smooth sailing or has there been bumps in the road? Now, a lot of people pretty much feel, now a lot of people, they probably won't come out and say this, but in a sense it sounds like they're saying it, that when this crossover is all said and done, a lot of them feel that Archie Comics themselves should just go ahead and reboot the comic. In other words, start all over again. But, you know, is that because there were so many bumps? Or is it because it was smooth sailing? And then you have them saying that Sega should take the license from Archie and give it to another comic book company. Should they do it? Or should they just wait it out? You see, the reason I ask this is, again, you know, whether the crossover lives up to the hype, its summer hype that it's been given. The question is, the questions I do pose is, was it smooth sailing? Or were there some bumps in the road? What was necessary and what was not? You know, could have this entire situation, this whole division between the fan base been avoided if something else had been worked out, if a different direction in the story arc would have taken place? You see, I may have not read the issues, but I do keep up. I read the summaries. I keep up. I hear what people say. And to me, there have been times, from the sounds of it, from what people have said, there have been times where there have been some bumps in the road. There have been times where it's been like smooth sailing. But yet, the divide still remains. And yet, the question is still there, was it worth it to get to this crossover? Was it worth it to get to the final climax in which that princess, next on both those covers, is restored? Was it worth it? Was it worth the smooth sailing? Was it worth the bumps, and the detours that this story arc had to go through? Was it worth it? That is the question. Was it worth it to get to this point? Was it worth it to divide the fan base the way they were divided? Was it worth it? Was it worth going to New York Comic Con and hinting at the fact that not just Sally herself, but a majority of the Saturday AM cast and some of the comic book cast are going to get redesigns after the crossover? Was it worth it? Was it worth all these bumps in the road, all the smooth sailing that you went through? Was it worth the detours or the straightforward ride? Was it all worth it? That is the question. And quite honestly, it's a question. It's an answer I don't have. But from the sounds of it, but the sounds of it is it. But from the sound of it, I can say this. I can say this. I know there will be some that will say it was worth it. I know there will be some that suggest we may have had to deal with all these detours and stuff, but it was worth it. And there will be some that will say, no, the smooth sailing was not worth it. The straightforward ride was not worth it. And there will be some that will say, no, going through all this BS detours and bumps in the roads was not worth it. But again, the question I ask you, was it? So, that's just all the Sonic stuff I need to get off my chest. Sorry this was in 2 parts. Again, I have a 15-minute time limit. What are you going to do? So, comment down below. Let me know what you think. Video responses are greatly appreciated. I'll talk to you later.